I've been writing and making movies for almost 4 decades. And what I'm seeing going on now in the business is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's completely changing, which means my brothers and sisters of screenwriting and filmmaking, you do not need permission anymore. In this video, I lay out 5 steps of a path for you to create your movies in your way and release them to your people for the rest of your life. So, who am I? I'm a guy who made movies for my friends in high school. I made like 50 short films, and then I went to NYU Film School. This is me, NYU Film School, when I had hair. And I've loved making movies back then. I still love them now. I went on to make 2 indie features, the hard way, the old school way. I've gotten 1.1 million views on YouTube. I got into the Writers Guild and written 45 scripts, sold to major production companies. So I'm here to talk to you about Act One of this transition, this major transition that we're going through in the business, just so that you can be better informed for your own journey forward towards being the professional storyteller you've always wanted to be. The way it is now, we create our story or screenplay or even a novel or even a film. We largely or have to go to Hollywood because they have the money and they have the access to the audience. But even when we beat the ridiculous odds and got involved in Hollywood, they financed it, got produced, you still didn't have direct access to your audience. Like I have friends who printed a very successful documentary through Amazon, no connection to the audience. Another indie filmmaker friend of mine, millions and millions of views, no connection to his audience. So all those relationships that he built, like every time somebody watches your movie, it's a relationship that you've built, but he doesn't have any access to the people that were doing that. And that was really systematic. And it's not conspiratorial, always holding us down, but it's this factory system from the past that was significantly disempowering for us as screenwriters. Also, as it is now, there's another wave that's rising, the content creator wave. There's 2 million content creators making over $100,000 every year, or at least this past year, in revenue. This is one of them. Brian Mueller, I don't know exactly how much he makes. I think he makes about that. I don't know. But he makes his full-time living doing his content creation. He came to me to be able to help him develop a TV show based on his comedy. And so he was unlike anybody I've ever coached because he just had a very specific audience that he was entertaining as his job. And he was way more empowered and autonomous than any other person that I've coached. I mean, he has 1 million followers here, and then there's another 2 million on other platforms. But every time he drops a piece of content, there's more people that will like it than who watch the Lakers live here in LA. So it's it's a different world, and that's the rising wave. So how does somebody become a uh, a, a storyteller, like a writer, director, or screenwriter, or whatever, that owns their own content and creates their own content in a way that they care about so that they can become a content creator and take part of that model that's already proven? AI is the way forward. But there's some big questions with AI, and we'll get to that later on. But just because you can create some movies with AI, it's going to lead to this boom, and that brings us to two. So a simple way to think about this is now you get to write your screenplay or novel or whatever, and then you take it right to your audience. Pretty amazing. And so uh, here's how I'm estimating, like how big is the boom, like what's actually going to happen. We know that somewhere between 50 and 100,000 screenplays have been written every year for decades, um, based on I guess submissions to like the Nickel Fellowships or other contests or whatever. I think it's a wide range, and I think it's pretty safe to say that's accurate. Um, we do know, at least the stats show, 4,400 features submitted to Sundance. So I think there's double that made a movie but didn't submit to Sundance for whatever reason. Um, and then we know there's 3 million-ish novels written annually. So there's a lot of people telling stories in professional formats. Um, so I believe in 2026, when AI comes online and starts creating images that people can't tell whether they're created through artistry through with AI or the artistry of humans on an actual set. Once you can't really tell the difference, and there's already some shots you can't tell the difference. There's a lot that you can. Some of it's quasi, it's kind of synthetic looking. Some of it you really can't tell the difference, and a lot of it like it just looks bad, right? But that's gonna get fixed, and it's gonna get fixed soon. And I think already even in 2026, we're gonna be looking at 20,000 and 40,000 features, a boom of 3x to 5x. Could be more, could be less, I don't know. But that's a lot. So really the questions become um, when will it actually be good enough? And there's already stuff that's pretty damn good now if you can focus in a very narrow way of what AI already does pretty well. But that nope, the scope of what it does well is wider and wider and wider. Its ability for you to direct it is getting better and better. So all these things are happening very, very quickly. So sooner than I think most people believe. Um, and so once you start seeing these pop up, you're going to be like, well, how did they do that? And then and how long does it take to do that? And most importantly, how can you do it? What's your process going to be like to take your screenplay that's just sitting on your laptop or dozens of screenplays like me sitting on my laptop? And how much will it cost to realize it? And how do you, okay, let's say, boom, you snap your fingers, your movie is now done. Now what? How do you get an audience? And will these audience, how would these people pay you? Right? Lots of questions. And those questions can be overwhelming and lead you to the dark night of the soul. The last scene in Act Two of this journey where you're overwhelmed. You're like, that's a lot. And like, I don't want to make content. And I don't want to I like people. I want to make movies with people and I want maybe somebody else to make my movie with people. And lots of questions, lots of confusion, lots of doubt. That's the dark night of the soul moment. And as we know from good study of screenplay structure from this Dark Night of the Soul movement, there's a rise into Act Three. And so I invite you to steal my framework of how I'm looking at the future for my own career and for the clients that I coach. I see it in 5 steps. And what I've seen is I've done my own experimentation and other people have done experimentation. If you rush these steps or try to jump ahead, it backfires. So go really slowly through these steps. Number one, the best thing you could do is specification. Define your ideal viewer. And not the way the studios used to do it in terms of 4 quads and women, blah, blah, blah. It's too broad. This is the internet. Internet commerce works with precision. Algorithms work with precision. So you want to get a specific avatar that represents your ideal viewer. And then once you start thinking of it as an actual person in the way that you communicate with the actual people in your life, all the forms of communication of the person are going to get more aligned. And then they will find you easier and you will find them easier. So that starts with defining that ideal viewer. Step two is ideation. Like, okay, you know who you're going to tell your story to, but like, well, what do you tell them? All you got is a screenplay, right? Like, what do you, how, what do you? So, actually, after this, I'll walk you through ways that'll help you start to think about ideation, so it's a little more organized. But it's a brainstorming process. It's simple. After that, then you get to the experimentation phase. One of the big problems I see is people go, first of all, they don't specify who they're talking to. They go, I got an idea, and then they run and they post it, and they're like, how come I didn't get any views? They're just jumping way ahead. They get frustrated. They're like, it's just luck. I promise you, it's not luck. And if you follow these steps, and you follow them fully, and you do it from your heart with real authenticity, you will find people who are like you. Um, Not because you're the special one or whatever, just because of the math. I mean, there's billions of people, and all you need is a tiny, tiny sliver of a billion. A billion is such a big number. You just need a tiny group of people, thousands, tens of thousands, 100,000, or whatever. And if they pay you even a small amount of money, you start to look at how the dynamics are actually very much in your favor and our favor. It's going to be a massive shift in power from Hollywood, which had all the resources and all the money, and they basically had half of a $350 billion pie for people spending money on movies and TV. That pie is now going to be dispersed to those tens of thousands of independent filmmakers, depending on how good they are in actually engaging the audience where they are. And I'm going to give you some ways to start thinking about this. So, anyway, start with your ideal viewer, go to this ideation of like what you might want to do, and then you get to the experimentation. We actually start expressing some stuff. First, just like on a document or Google Slides or whatever, and then you're like, oh, I feel like I've got my voice and my vision here. Then you do some posting, but you're not doing posting for views. It's not transactional. You're doing it for the intrinsic joy. You're like, oh, I'm growing this plant and it's too small for this thing. I want it for the bigger thing. It's all process. It's all intrinsic joy. And then you'll start to, once you really get good at experimenting, you really found your voice, not only just on your laptop, but actually in public, whether people have been paying attention or not, but you now have your thing. Now you actually focus on, okay, I know I've got my song and dance. I know this is good. I know some people that see it are actually really into it. Now, how do I get from few people or whatever to hundreds of thousands or millions of people? That's the traction game. And that you can just study. There's a whole framework for having how to hook attention, how to build trust, how to proceed. It's just a matter of, it's a game of holding attention through media. So, um, and then once you're good at that, then you can actually have earned the position in the community to actually get paid for what you're doing. So it's a step-by-step process. And if you get too far, if you try to get to traction too early or monetization or whatever, you just you get overwhelmed. There's a lot for you to do just in defining your viewer and doing some brainstorming. Like that's a lot for a lot of people who've been thinking and very differently. So let's get to the ideation phase. Right? Well, brainstorm. Like, what do you like? What I don't even know what to do. So this will help you with your ideation. Think in terms of small, medium, and large. You can do that, right? Small, medium, large. Now, the way it is now, we had only large size. I mean, some people made short films or whatever, right? But for the most part, if you were a spec screenwriter or even like a feature film indie filmmaker, you would write a large script, a 100-page script, TV show. You get into Hollywood, and then good luck because there's 100,000 other people that wrote a script that year, and so it's just a fiasco of bottlenecked problems. But you're only thinking in large, and then you're like, oh well, the first one didn't work. I'll do another one. I'll do another one. So a lot of people I know, I've been at this for a while, have a stack of large-sized stories, um, and just sitting on their laptop with nothing to do. With the Indie 2.0 film boom, when you start thinking in terms of small, medium, large size expressions of your story, you have the large already if you're a screenwriter or a novelist or whatever. Medium is having an ongoing relationship. So they're on your email list. I started an email list 20 years ago for an independent film that I made, and I still have some people on that list on my list now. It's shifted over. That list is specifically for my coaching practice now, but I'm in the process of starting a new list for my new stories, and I'm going to have an ongoing, more intimate relationship with them with that. And you can email whatever sort of content you want at whatever cadence you want. That's the medium size. And that builds an ongoing relationship. And then that builds to your large story when it's ready to be released. And you journey with people from being strangers to your email list through small content, small size content. It could be viral videos, it could be stuff you've done on profiles or whatever, but it's all from you in service of the story. And but you get to decide what you like. And there's a lot of stuff that's out there that you don't like maybe cat videos. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying just keep expressing your story. Whatever drew you to that screenplay that you love, that you spent 100 hours developing it, keep pouring that energy into a direct relationship with people on your email list, and then a way to connect to the strangers. And when you get that flow going, you will then have a direct access to the buying power of that audience. And then that money, that $350 billion pie, there's a trickle of it that flows to you for your stories directly. And then you actually start to build this long-term sustainable really entrepreneur show business, your own sort of small show business. You're the business of your shows, your movies, your stories. So the other amazing thing about this that's way better than old school Hollywood is this feedback loop. You might be going, I don't like viral videos. I don't want like I'm a screenwriter. What do I know about like viral videos? You just learn. Like nobody knew anything about viral videos until you just started learning. And there's all sorts of different people teaching all sorts of different frameworks, and you start studying them. A lot of it you can study for free right there on YouTube. And you just start to go, oh, I get a sense of how you're doing this. And here's how I could do it from my screenplay and the theme of my screenplay, the soul of my screenplay. And then you try it and you're going to suck at first. And then you try again and you still suck. And then it's frustrating the process. But like you get to keep doing it over and over and over again for free. That's what's so amazing and empowering. There's no ticking clock. You get to do it your own way. You just put it out there in a way so you have this feedback loop, and the audience will tell you, no, it's not good. It's not, oh, that's kind of interesting. Or, oh my God, that was amazing. And I sent it to three friends. That feedback loop was really difficult to get in old Hollywood because you could get feedback, but like they weren't your audience. They were some person out of film school reading at a contest or some well-meaning producer or rep that might not be telling you what you want. Because like all those middlemen are going to be cut out. It's just about you and your ideal audience member. And so as in this new world, you're going to be able to tell small, medium, and large size stories to your audience, and they're going to love you for it. Right. At least the ones that are into you. Some people come and go, other ones will stay for a long time. But like this is a sort of much more, it's a micro-sized economy of the macro-sized Hollywood previous economy. Way better. So let's review really briefly. The old way was you were an employee really wanting to get some sort of lottery selection, and then you never even had connection to your audience. And so you really had minimal power in that system. The new way, you have direct access to your audience. And once you learn how to engage with them in ways where they're ready for you to engage with, you have maximized your power as a professional storyteller. So I call this the auteur 2.0 movement, or at least my approach to this indie film boom that's coming. Um, because I've always identified as a writer director, and I did take a detour to Hollywood to be a screenwriter, but it was partly because I couldn't, because I made micro budget independent films, but they were still expensive. I ran out of money, so I had to be a part of that employee Hollywood machine, and that was fine. Um, but this is much better because you get more creative control, you get more everything. And then in the interim, because I had a coaching business and I learned how social media works and how traffic works and how to engage with people, all those skills I learned to market my coaching practice online are now the exact skills you need to have a story and engage with an audience. So it's all converging for me in what I call the Auteur 2.0 movement. So I put together this playbook for you. It's free. You can click on a link around this video and get yourself the playbook. And it has three rules to survive this transition because it is massively different. It's better in all sorts of ways. Pretty much, I think it's better. Like if you look at like when I went to NYU Film School, we edited on a flatbed, like flatbed, cutting celluloid. I mean, it was a disaster. And then once digital editing came along, it was better in every facet. The whole shebang is going to be better in every facet. You know, I mean, writing is going to be pretty much the same, but any sort of producing and releasing and ownership and creative control and money, all of that is going to get better with these efficiencies. So, um, but it's a lot of change. It's a lot of identity shifting at a deep level. Who am I? Can I really do this? I don't want to learn those tools. Like, it's a lot. It's not rainbows and butterflies. You're not going to be able to use AI and go, "Hey, make my movie." It's not. There's somebody that just did a 25-minute um, uh, biblical episode that I just saw the other day. Took him 3 months. So it wasn't like, hey, here's the script, dude, make it. It was 3 months of prompts and reprompts and reprompts. It's it's a process. But like if they were to produce that same exact thing for 20, I mean, you're talking about a $50 million movie, a $30 million movie. I don't know what they spent. They probably spent 5 or 10,000 bucks on it, maybe more. But I don't know. But like it's a whole different way of of doing it. And this playbook and these 3 rules will really help you start to face what you need to face to be able to build this foundation and move forward. So, um, yeah, that's my take on it. Um, and the indie film boom is going to happen with or without me, with or without you. But my personal way I'm doing it myself and coaching my people to do it is I'm calling the Auteur 2.0 movement. And I see a future where you will live happily ever after because nobody can stop you.